Hello and welcome to my latest video. This one's called Project Unicorn. It's a double... Oh, hang on, what's that? Oh, well, I don't know, it must have been something on the recording. Yeah, so this vehicle belongs to my good buddy Unicorn Man. It's a toy he's had since childhood. He's made some attempts at repainting it, I think, in his younger days, and he asked me if I could possibly restore it for him. So as part of this month's DMC challenge, any TV or film vehicle, I've taken this one on. So I'm going to get it on the bench. That's a little rocket that's from the rocket fire on the top. I've given it the once over. The screens are in excellent shape. Rocket fire launcher works, but I'm missing the tracks, but Unicorn Man has kindly provided me with a brand new set from, I presume, Model Supplies. Rocket launcher works fine, elevates okay, turns to the left and right as it's supposed to, and the mechanism works fine as well. So let's get it apart. Nice straightforward, no drill job for a change. Couple of self tappers on the base. Which remarkably I haven't managed to drop on the floor at this point. In the case of just pressed together, there's one lug on the back and one slightly shallower one on the front, a little bit of pressure and it comes apart. Blown plastic insert for the seating and the windscreen, which is thankfully not secured in any way, it's just pressed into place when the bottom's on. So I'm going to remove the rocket launcher now. Again, that's just a single self tapper into a lug on the base with a couple of washers, one to allow you to rotate it and another one to hold it down flat in place. I'm staring at that rotating base, wondering whether to drill it off and take it apart or just strip it as it stands. Next element now is that I've got to remove all of these little caterpillar wheels, or bogey wheels I think they're called. I spent a great deal of time very gently and carefully grinding the tops off the rivet heads and removing the bogies, so to speak, and having done all that, in the end I decided to drill it out, put brass rods in and fit new pins all the way through, because I just wasn't happy that I'd be able to re-rivet the wheels on without doing any damage. So that was the way I went after all of that struggle. That's just the final one coming off now. Next thing will be get it in the caustic soda and get it all stripped. This is just a little thing that I learned from the guys at the DMC for cleaning up and removing paint from plastics. It's just Mr. Muscle Spray. Pop it in a container, drop the top on. I left it till the next day. All came out perfectly clean, works really well on windscreens. So I'm just polishing up the body now, and all the bits of remaining paint off and any residue from the caustic soda. I'm using M4 Scotch-Brite wheels. I used to use the metal or wire brushes, but I picked this tip up from Pete of PB Restorations, and it's a far better idea than the wire wheels. I was getting fed up with picking pieces out of my clothes, my face, my forehead, my dog and everything else. So good tip, far better idea than the wire wheels in my view. Which leads me to the question, anybody want to buy some wire brushes? So that's all cleaned up nice, primered it up, and now I'm laying the coat on the undercarriage. Unusually for me, this is a Tamiya paint. I'm not a big user of Tamiya, but I do have an awful lot of it, and this was quite a close match. Just had to add a shady yellow to get it the right colour. Sprayed in the cab area and spun the roof. Just building it up in nice light coats. It's gone on really well. This is a blend of various shades of nitro paint to arrive at the right colour. I did buy some from Steve Flowers, but it turned out to be an oil-based paint. I work in the same room as my wife, where she does paper crafting and wool and so forth. It's an awful smell. She doesn't like it, I don't like it, so I have to go with the vinyl paints, which are relatively odourless, as you would be aware, and I prefer to airbrush them anyway. So just building up in nice low coats, and as usual flashing it off between coats with the hairdryer. So I've masked it all up now and rotated the lid, and just put in the fluorescent red on the roof area. Looks orange, but the pot says it's red. It's a Vallejo airbrush paint, fluorescent red. Takes a lot of coats to achieve a cover with fluorescence. They're always a bit tricky, I find. Not a thing that I would use by choice, but obviously I'm trying to restore to some extent, so I'm putting on what was on in the first place. First little bit of detailing, there's a kind of strange exhaust port fan looking device on the back of it, and I thought it would benefit from a bit of highlighting and picking it out to just to give a bit of detail. I mean, it's mainly restored to the original look. I just couldn't leave the idea alone of picking out a few details, so I spoke to the owner, and he was perfectly happy for me to go ahead, as long as it was largely as it came out of the box. So I'm just doing with some gunmetal here, picking out the detail. I've also done the kind of springs and suspension parts, as you can see above the castings for the runners. There's an intricate bit of detail here. It's slow going, but I think it all helps to embellish the model a little bit when it's all done. As I mentioned earlier, this particular casting I'm doing for the Die Casting Modelers community Facebook group. A good bunch of lads. Every month they do a challenge. You don't have to take part, there's no pressure. They're all fairly generic things. You have to run out and buy a particular model or a special casting or anything else to take part. You'll usually find you've got something in your collection that fits the bill. There's no pressure. Good group. A lot of information available to you. Really friendly bunch. I'm just carrying on detailing my what it is really on the back there. It kind of just fascinated me because it was an interesting shape. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere who's a foremost expert on the SHADO 2 mobile vehicles that can tell me what it's meant to represent. I just thought it looked cool. A little bit of detailing on the upper part of the body now. I've already been over and put silver as an undercoat on all of the lights that I wanted to go on and highlight. Obviously, oh, what's that again? I'll have to figure that out before the end of the video. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, onwards. Yeah, well, so we're painting the tail lights now. Nice shade of red. A bit of detailing on the front here. I kind of figured these would look the part for marker lights, so I went in with the kind of amber colour that I usually use on indicators. Got one hand holding the other here, trying to keep things steady. I'm starting to get a bit of a look about it, I think. Bit of white here to pick up. Can't have too many lights on the front of your mobile patrol vehicle, can you? Oh, it's looking pretty swish. This is the release clip for the rocket launcher that's been sculpted to represent the sort of radar. I'm just going to go in and pick out the detailing inside with a bit of aluminium fine, just to brighten it up a little bit. I've had fun adding a few little extra details onto this one. I was looking at pictures of the TV model, and although the Korg is not an exact replica, there are a lot of areas that are the same, and I wanted to enhance the ones that I could without going too mad. And at the front of the lower half again here now. I originally filled the headlights in black and silvered them, but having looked at a few pictures, I thought they looked better in white. So I'm going over with an Auto Air base coat sealer, which is really an excellent cover, where you will cover black with white with very few coats. And I think looking at it one to the other, it's better with the white. And I'm just going to dot them now with aluminium, pick out the heads of the headlamps again. Spends a lot more time with the detailing on this one because there's not much in the way of construction with it. It's basically splits in half with 2 screws. Wish they were all like that. I panic every time I have to break the drill out and drill rivets out, so good for me, I'm thinking. As I say, I made the decision to fit brass rods and install the wheels in brass rods on this one. I wasn't happy with the idea of revisiting the original rods that came with it. They seemed a little short. I could see a great deal of scope for either bending them or damaging the casting or some other sort of disaster. So just cleaning the holes, really, not really so much opening them out, just taking the rough edges off the casting so that I can slip the brass rods through. Another little pin drill there. Just thought I'd include that bit in case anyone else was doing this particular kind of model and arrived at the same conclusion. Just slip the brass rod through and make sure that I've cleaned it out properly both sides. Yeah, that's going to be fine. The jeweler saw and cut a few lengths of it now. I think the blade in this jeweler saw is made out of the same stuff you floss your teeth with, to be honest. Not the strongest I've ever used. So now I'm just going to glue the brass bushes into place with a bit of super duper, as Martin Dare would say. That's it, lift it up out of the way of the camera so no one can see what you're doing. That's good thinking there. Good one. As I say, slip the brass bushes in. They're all in place now. Oh no, I lie, there's one to go. I've got to admit I wasn't sorry as the last one went in. That's the first of the bogies in place. And I've just got a micro brush in here, just running some liquid glue around the inside of the channel before pushing the pin in. It's held up pretty well. I had to make sure they were glued in pretty well because when the tracks do go on, they are kind of rubbery and there's a bit of tension on them. I was a bit concerned about breaking the hole that the glue had got on them, but I seem to have succeeded in keeping them all in place. That's the first one of the tracks on. And I'm just about to slide the next one on. They kind of lace together a little bit like a bracelet at the one end. And then, I mean, maybe there's a better method of getting them on, but I found this worked okay. Just eased them over the first bit of the bogey and kind of spun them until they went in place. I don't know if any of you have ever put a fan belt on a car, but it's kind of similar. You're just slipping them over the pulleys, just rotate them and let the rotation do the work for you. Oh, there we go. Happy with that. Can't exactly call it a roll, that's more of a skidder, but you know. Just showing it all off now. Pleased with that one. Get the top off and fit the rocket launcher back on. So we've got the action working nice and smooth. There's a kind of tab washer that enables you to swivel the rocket launcher. And a plate washer that drops down into that recess there. And a self-top that holds the whole kit and caboodle in place. Couple of turns with the screwdriver and we're looking good. Oh. It's back again. Gonna have to do something about it, that's driving me crazy. That's it, all secured, drop it down. Make sure the turntable spins. Yep. Got to test the rocket, and I've replaced the end with a piece out of an eraser and shaped it up a bit. I don't want my client poking his eye out the first time he tries it out, and I know he will. That's it then. Put the cannon to bed. And just the final bit of assembly now. In with the screen. I haven't done anything with the interior white, it was quite delicate anyway, and I thought when I test fitted it and put it together, I thought that the cleaned up, the white actually showed up quite nicely inside. I didn't want to dull it down with anything, as difficult as it was not to paint the seats. Now there's a flange at the back there, and then you press it to clip it together. Back in with the 2 screws. And just button it up nicely. If you're enjoying the video and you like what I do, it would be appreciated if you could click a like on the video, maybe subscribe, that'd be most helpful. Makes all the sim a bit more worthwhile if you see that people are liking and enjoying what you do. So as they say in many other videos, smash that button, ring that bell, and all that other good stuff. There we go. All done, all buttoned up, rolling. All running smoothly and ready for the turntable. So, what have we done? Well, we've been up to quite a bit with this one. Just fully stripped the paint, complete repaint in close to the original colours as I could get. I've highlighted different lights on the vehicle, bogies, the undercarriage, put some Steve Flower stickers on the side, refit the tracks that were supplied by Steve, the guy who owns the vehicle. I hope he's happy with this one. I think it's come out pretty well. Oh God, what's that? I'm getting fed up with this. Striker, can you do something about that noise? Thank you and goodbye.